Alright, I just got back from town, Poplar Bluff, with a bunch of supplies to get the foundation started for a new home. I had some extra sono tubes up there, which is for pouring cement. I had 3 extra from my shack over there. I got a cement mixer because mixing 80 bags of concrete by hand in a wheelbarrow just seems excessive. I got an extra 10 cinder blocks in case I can't pound stakes into the ground. Then I'm going to have to build some platforms with extra 2x4 and use the cinder blocks to hold it in place for my level strings. I got 10 extra framing 2x4s, 8 feet long, in case I do have to build the batter boards without stakes in the ground. Over here, I've got 10 8-foot 2x2. These are going to work for my batter boards, and I'm also going to cut down the corners to make points and try to use these as stakes and see if I can pound those into the ground. I got my rebar here. This is one piece. I'll show you the pile. I got 22 10-feet sections of this in order to reinforce the 9 pillars. I rewired my chicken dish heating bowl extension cord over here so I can use it for my grinder because I'm going to have to cut rebar. Before I went and bought all the supplies this weekend, I took my laser level and my laser, I guess, tape measure, laser measurement, and I got a rough outline here. You can see these 4 chairs mark 16 by 16 corners, and I had to put a piece of wood on each one so that I could shine the laser, because I needed to know that 16 feet from this chair, that one 16 feet, and then measure the diagonal, make sure that that's the same. So this gave me a good enough estimate kind of where it's going to go, and then I had to measure the slope from the highest chair to the lowest chair, and then with that I was able to kind of calculate how much concrete, how many pillars I need, what the grade is going to be. So that's why the chairs are here. My next step, I'm going to be moving the chairs out. I'm going to pound, I got to cut some probably 2 2-feet sections and then 2 3-feet sections of rebar. I'm going to try to pound that into the ground where the chairs are so that I can run some string to the 4 corners before I set up my batter boards. So I already had, like I mentioned, 3 of these, so I have to have 9 pillars in total, so I ended up getting 9 of them. I did get one that's a 16-inch instead of 12. That's going to be the one in the center of the house, just for I'll probably have a wood burning stove near the center, so it'll support a little extra weight. But I got those to pour concrete in. And over here I got a whole bunch of rebar, and then I bought one of these tools here that's used to bend rebar, because I'm going to have to make some J pieces from my foundation up to my pillars. So I got that tool as well. So my next task is going to be cutting down rebar, pounding it in the ground, sharpening some wood sticks, and try to see if I can pound those into the ground, because a batter board goes about 4 feet out, 3 feet outside of this, but it's going to be 4 feet long. It's going to just be an L, but that lets you get your boards level with where you want the foundation to be, and then you can tie your string and move them back and forth to make sure it's really square. And then once you have those lines running, you drop a plumb line, and that tells you the center of your hole where you need to dig. So these are the 4 corners. I'm going to end up having 9 piers, so where every chair is, there's going to be one, then there's going to be one in between each one, and one in the center. So that's what I'm working on next. I'll keep you updated with my progress. All right, quick update on the foundation. I moved the chairs out of the way and I put rebar stakes in all four corners so that I could visualize it better, and then realized I needed to bring that one down further because I want the front of the house to be parallel to the dam that goes straight across. Then you get the best view of the lake. So I moved that down a little bit, and then once I started with this highest stake, went down there where this was perpendicular to the dam, and then once that one was in, I got my square and put it along this yellow line, went down there, put a screw in the ground that was exactly 16 feet away from here, which I thought was my best guess. And then I did a diagonal measurement from my starting stake to where I thought was 90 degrees. It was off by maybe a half inch, so I moved it to where it was exactly 16 feet and 22 feet 7 inches and 5/8 of an inch across my diagonal. Then I put my string up there, did a similar thing, put the square here, measured down exactly 15 feet, did my best guess, put my diagonal across here. This one, I guess I was off a little bit more, but I got it exactly 16 feet from here and on diagonal, so I pounded that in the ground. And then I checked this last one, and sure enough, it was right at 16 feet. So I had all my stakes in the ground, and then it was time to put up my batter boards. And all those are scrap wood that goes right across all these posts at the same grade that you want your foundation to be. So these don't have to be perfect, but when you use this laser level, you want a laser line on all your posts across all four corners, and then you come back with some wood and you screw it in right along the laser line, and then you can move your strings across and you'll still be level all the way across. So these first ones, I want my highest spot to be anywhere from 8 to 12 inches off the ground, so I'm targeting 10 inches right in between. So this is actually 12 inches up because I want to hammer my boards in so that I have room to hammer the cross boards. But these ones here, I came over here and I cut all the corners off to give a point on them, and I pounded them in the ground almost a foot, and that was not easy because this is rocky soil. So over here my boards have to be longer because it's downhill. And these ones, when I was hammering them in, you can see it was starting to splinter. So I ended up going up and getting my breaker bar and hammering this in about a foot deep, pulling it out, and then hammering the stake in, and that worked a lot better. But with all the hammering, my arms are getting tired. So I remembered I have this rock breaker. So I have a feeling these next two corners are going to go real smooth. I'm going to make the holes with this, use my laser level, find out how high it needs to be, cut some more posts, put a tip on them, and pound them in the ground. And once all the 3 stakes on every corner are done, then I can come back with my batter boards and get everything level. So I'll give another update there. Sun's starting to go down, but there's still a bit of daylight, so I'm going to use it. I'll probably at least get all the stakes in tonight is my goal. But that's a wrap for this one. That was so much easier. Rinse and repeat for this corner. All right, just like that, I've got tips on all my boards. Now I go pound them in the holes that I just pre-drilled. Since I know I want to pound these in about a foot deep, I went ahead and marked a line on all the points so that I know when I hit a foot deep. All right. That's 3 corners down, 1 to go down there. But you see the height difference. That's just because of the slope of the ground. So it'll be funny to see something level. But rinse and repeat for that corner there. I'm going to do the same thing. All right, I'm back. I got all the stakes in the ground. I moved my work light out here so I can see. One thing I did wrong is I was planning on the stakes being less than 4 feet apart, but I went around and measured a lot of them, and there's a lot that are over 4 feet. I was going to cut these in half. These are 2x2s. I was going to cut them in half and use those, but since I put them too far apart, I've got to use 8-foot boards. So I'm going to use some 2x4s on these short sticks up here. And then I've got 6 2x2s left to use on all the others. It's good to use nighttime. I have to not trip on the string here, but it's good to use nighttime because the laser level I can see much better at night than during the day. But in order to put the level boards up, this is called batter boards for foundations, and each L is supposed to have 2 boards that are level with where the foundation beams are going to be. So In order to do that, I need a very, very level centerpiece. And this took a long time to get shimmed up just right, because this hill is sloped this way and back towards me. So it took a long time, but if you look at this, look how level that is on that side. On this side, it's between the lines. But it was so hard to level it between the lines, both front and back, and forward, front and back, side to side. But now this is a very level platform. This is a self-leveling laser, but I tried putting it on my tripod over here. So this is the tripod that I use for filming a lot of stuff, and my laser level screws right on there, and it fits the tripod, but it's not level in all directions. So when I would swivel it around, my line would be up or down just a little bit on the post. So I made this. And now I'm going to turn off my flashlight, put my laser level up, turn it on. When you see that green light on the top, that means it's level enough to self-level. And we have a nice line on all three of my sticks over here. So that's where I'm going to bolt or screw my boards up to those lines. And now, because this platform is level, I can do that. Just rotate it over here. You see how much higher it is off the ground? That's because of the slope of the ground. But I have to tack my boards up right on the lines there. Rotate over there, do the same thing, and that last corner. So because these stakes are so much shorter, I'm going to use the 2x4s here, and then the other three corners I can use my 2x2. So that's my next task while it's dark out, so I can see my lines. Once I'm done with that, I'll probably do one or two to get a little practice, and then I might record one. But that's the next steps. Alright, I got the first one done with 2x4s. I had to use spacers everywhere to try to hold it level. And this was really not easy, because when I put the stakes in, I didn't make a right 90-degree angle on my stakes. So my first attempt, I screwed two of them together right at the bottom up against the end, but because my stakes are not at a 90, that didn't work very well. But using a bunch of spacers kind of helped hold things, and sliding things around, I got it very level. If I turn off my light, this is looking down on the board, so the light is glowing on top of the 2x4, so it's hitting just perfect. So I like how that looks. Now rinse and repeat for these other three. But the 2x4s were a little harder because they're heavier than my 2x2s, so hopefully these other ones go easier. But I'm happy with that. I'm just gonna point the laser to the next one and start working on it. Alright, all the batter boards are done. It's probably hard to see, but there's a glow because the laser is hitting just along the top of these boards. The laser is over here pointing sideways, so that's how you know when it spreads out on the top like that. That is good. And if I come over here, let it settle out. This is the first one that I did that I already showed from the top down. You can see the glow. And the second one I did, over here, I did find that these 2x2s are not nearly as straight as the 2x4s were. And this is the last one. But everything is now level, and I can do my strings on these boards above my stakes and start to dig some holes. But I'm going to shine the light back over here, and then you can see the final product. Alright, here we are. All the four corners are now done. As you can see out here, this is the top northwest corner. You see how close it is to the ground. It's still the 10 inches off of the ground. But as we come over to these other corners, you can see how much higher it is off the ground. And that's due to the slope. And this is the lowest corner. But all these boards across here are level all the way across. So next weekend I'm flying out to New York, but when I get back, it's going to be time to mark some holes, bring the tractor and backhoe down here, and dig some holes for the piers on the pier and beam foundation. Alright, it's a beautiful Saturday, and I'm back at it, working on my foundation here. Last time I left off, I had just finished all the batter boards. So what I had to do today was put up all my mason strings that are now level so that I could remeasure everything. I need to mark the spots on the ground where I'm going to be digging holes. So I finally got my screws in here, was able to use that with my tape measure, and then diagonal here. So all the sides are 16 feet by 16 feet, and my diagonal is the perfect amount as well. So you can see if you look down here, my starting peg was pretty close, but as I come over here, because when I was measuring downhill and my measurements were off just a little bit. But here you can see this one was off just a little bit. But now everything is square. I've got my plumb line that I'm going to hang from the corners up here where it's level, and that will be my center spot. And that's where I put this 2 foot by 2 foot board right under there. Get the plumb line. I have to remove my stakes here. Move my stakes, get the plumb line right in the middle here, and then spray paint a square for each of my 9 holes that I'm going to build for the foundation piers. So that's what I'm going to work on next. I did walk up my hill. I found some purple spray paint. It's no hunting that you spray on your trees to let people know that you don't want them hunting on your land, but there was some extra of that up in the shed, so I'm going to use that to mark my square holes. And I walked up to the top of my hill this morning and grabbed the tractor, so once I get all my holes marked, I'm going to use the backhoe and try to dig down 2.5 feet for each hole. And if I hit foundation rock, I'm going to have to clean up the foundation rock, drill some holes in the foundation rock, and glue some rebar in it. So I guess I won't know until I start that. But I don't know how I'm going to get my tractor in here. I'm going to have to take my saw and go cut off some of these wood pieces so that I can bring a tractor in here. I have to take down all the strings that I just put up, but I have screw markers so I can put them right back up when I need to. But now it's clearing the leaves, positioning the board, painting my holes, and start digging. I think I'm going to do 1 row of 3 here and try to get all those poured and level and see if there's any lessons learned on those before I start my next rows here. This is perfectly level with my laser level all the way around, so I think I want to do this center hole last because I can still use this to make sure that my cement tubes are all perfectly level and at the right height. So I can do it on that row of 3. If I keep this here, I can do it on that row of 3. And then I can do 2, still using that same center block, and then that center block I'll have to take out and then just use my level piers for the last one. So that's the plan. We'll update again once I have more progress. Alright, I've got 8 holes marked. The middle one I didn't paint because my bricks were there and I didn't want to move those. I cut open the wood over here so I can bring the tractor in, but there's not enough room to move the tractor around in here with those bricks in the way. So I marked where the bricks were and just moved them out of the way. I took down my strings, and now I'm ready to grab the tractor and back it in and start digging some holes. Alright, I was recording all my tractor skills, but at some point it went off, so this is what I have so far. The hole is maybe just over a foot deep in the middle, but it's really hard to get this bucket straight up and down, so I'm going to have to get a shovel. It did help break up some of these big roots, which is good, but I've got to do some shoveling and picking, because this thing, it's such a tight corner. I almost knocked these poles over, so I guess manual shovel is up next, so we'll see how that goes. Alright, I got the first 3 holes dug, 2 feet by 2 feet, and a little over 2 feet deep. The tractor wouldn't go much further than 18 inches, so a lot of this I had to dig with a shovel and a pickaxe. But the first 3 holes are done, and the next thing, I think I need to put some gravel at the bottom and compact that down for the cement base, and then I have to put some 2x4s across each hole to hold the cement sono tubes. These cement tubes here, I need to screw those into the 2x4s that sit across the hole, and then mix up a whole bunch of cement in my cement mixer and start pouring. But before that, I need to get my level back in place and saw off the top of the sono tubes right even with these boards here so that the foundation is even. But I need to do some Google searching on the compacted gravel first, and then I also need to, at the top of my foundation, I need to put a little metal brace that's going to hold the floor joist across each one. So got to do some more research on that too. But that's it for this one. All right, I looked it up, and I do need 3 to 6 inches of crushed gravel compacted in each one of the holes. So it's time to take the tractor up the hill to the gravel pile and get some gravel, and then put some in the holes and compact it. All right, and just like that, we have a loader full of gravel. Now back down the hill, fill the holes. That's one hole filled 5 inches with gravel compacted down. Now I'm just going to do the same thing on my other 2 holes. And then we'll be ready to maybe set up some forms for concrete. Alright, after my last video, I finished the other 3 holes with putting gravel and compacting it, but I didn't have any cement, so I had to go an hour one way into town. Went to Menards and got some 5,000 psi concrete mix. That's one step above the general purpose concrete because I'm making a 2-story house. I needed the higher PSI rating. So on my way home, it was not supposed to rain today at all, but it was a light sprinkle. So these top bags are just a little damp, and I don't want to waste money and have these start setting. So my goal tonight, it's still dark out, or is now dark out. Got my work light set up, but before I can pour any concrete, I have to come to each hole, and I have to cut some rebar, wire it up for the base, and then cut the rebar pipes to fit down into the sonal tubes, the cement ones. So that's what I'm going to work on next. I am going to unbox my cement mixer over here once I get some rebar cut. I was using 18-inch pieces of rebar for my stakes in the four corners, so those ones I already cut, and I can use those for one hole, but I need to cut some more for the other hole. So here we go. Alright, these are the 4 pieces of rebar that I used to stake in the ground. I already had to cut these in an earlier video, and if you look, I cut them right to 18 inches. So I already have 4 of these. I need at least another 8 to get my hole done tonight, so I'm going to cut some more 18-inch pieces of rebar. And the good thing is, it rained a little bit, so everything's wet. There's a bunch of leaves down here, but the grinder hopefully won't catch the leaves on fire because everything is wet. Two down, 6 to go. More of the same. Alright, I have all my pieces of rebar cut. I already put one together here. This has the legs that hold it outside of the, or off the ground. But these, I have to make 3 of them. These are going to be the base of the 2 foot by 2 foot cement. This one I already wired together. I've got to make 2 more of them. I've got one set up here. And so this one's the one that's done. This one I'm getting ready to wire. I already put the legs underneath it, and then I put the bars 8 inches across and 8 inches across that way. That's according to standard, so, or code. So now let me just actually bring you up closer. I got a special tool and some wires that's supposed to make this easy, and so I tested it out with that first one. And what it is you can buy these pre-made rebar ties. You just bend it in a V, put it in your corner, and then I bought a special rebar tie tool that goes right through those 2 loops. You hold it and twist it, and it's done. So I just do that for all 4 corners. And there we go. That's how you make a rebar base for the, this is going to be the piling that sits below the pier for the sonotube that's going to hold the cement. So all I got to do now, these are already cut. I got to make 1 more, but 2 are already done, 1 more to come. All have my rebar 18 by 18 inch square with an 8-inch separation between the inner square, raised up off the ground using these plastic pieces. In this hole with this sono tube, which is for pouring cement. Same thing is done with this hole and its tube. And hole number 3 is also done with its tube. I dragged these heavy blocks out here and put them back on the purple, and it works surprisingly well. Like, if you look at this block, look how level that is on both sides and back and forth. So I'm very happy with that. I had to be very careful not to touch the shims, but now this allows me to turn on my laser level. The green light on top means that it can self-balance. And if we look over here, we can see the laser is right on top of the boards where it should be. It also makes a good mark on the tube, so once I get these set down there with boards holding it up, I'll know right where to cut the tube to make it level. And this one, you can't see the laser light because it's shining in the hole, but starting to mist or sprinkle a little bit. I might have to put a tarp over the cement that's in my truck just for the time being. I already put a tarp over my loader that has gravel that I'm going to use for my other holes, because I didn't use the whole bucket load for these 3 holes. And if I don't put a tarp over it, it'll just collect any water. We weren't supposed to get any rain today, but tomorrow we're supposed to get sprinkles during the day and heavy rain at night and on Monday, Tuesday. So just to be prepared, that is covered. These tubes, if I don't pour it tonight, those are going to go back into the camper, so those will be good. But I'm hoping to get this poured tonight, at least these 3 pillars. So I'll keep you updated. My next goal is to get 2x4s that go across the hole and screw these tubes in to stabilize them. I'm going to have to put up my yellow strings again so that the tubes are centered. And once the tubes are centered and level and cut off to size, that's when I can open my concrete mixer and start pouring concrete tonight. So we'll keep you updated. Alright, before I can start pouring any concrete, I have to make these J-bars, which what these do is these ends attach to my platforms that are already in the hole, and it sits up like this, which keeps the pillar from going back and forth either way. So these J-bars, I had to use this rebar bender, and I just take a big piece of rebar, put it on the ground. I'm trying to bend it at a 90, but it's that rebar bender is very difficult. So I got this, which will work because the rest of the rebar will be in the cement, and then this will stick up to keep the pier in line. So I already made one. I was gonna show the rebar bender, but it's embarrassing. It's hard to use. What I did is just put this on the ground, put the rebar bender here, bend it up, and then I got my grinder and cut it so that it's over 8 inches, so I can tie it to the frames that are already in there. But I've got to make 2 more of these and attach them to the frames, and then I might be able to at least pour the base cement. I haven't got around to the tubes yet and doing the framing for that, but this is the next step. So I'm gonna make 2 more of these and see how it goes. All right, I now have my J hooks all wired together. You really only need 1 J, but if I put them together like that, then it's twice as strong. So I've got 3 of those. I burned through a grinder blade. This one was getting close to the edge there, so I couldn't grind deep enough to cut the rebar with this one. So I swapped out to a new blade, cut all that, put it together. Had to bend it with that, which was not easy. But then I dragged down my new cement mixer. So I think what I'm going to do, I didn't wire these to the frames that are already in the holes because I want to pour the cement first and then stick it in there right where the center of the pole needs to be. So right now it's kind of hard to tell where the center needs to be for each pier, but once I pour the cement, I did screw in to the boards where the line should be, so I can use the screws to get very close to the center of the pole when I pour some cement in there. So I think next thing I'm going to do is set up for the unboxing, open it up, test it out, see how it works. So stay tuned. Alright, we're going to see if this cement mixer is easy to set up or not. Alright, we got an instruction book. Good. That's good. Looks like a handle. Bunch of bolts. I'll probably need to go get my toolkit. This is our motor. Wheels. Mixing drum. Alright, the time now is after midnight. I started at 10 a.m. this morning, so it's been a 14-hour day of hard manual labor. And I got a big booklet. I'll just put it together and fast forward. This is going to be a long video already, so here's what I'm going to do. First I got to find my toolkit in my truck and put it together. But I'll turn you on and invite you back for the first test drive. See if it works. Alright, it's assembled. That took way longer than expected. My truck toolkit wasn't big enough, so I had to go get the bigger tools and follow all the directions, but now we hit the green power button. And the mixer works. And I can put up to two 80-pound bags in here, so I have 60-pound bags, so I can definitely fit two of those. Once the cement is mixed, I just come over here, adjust that pin, and I tilt it down, and that pours the cement out while it's still mixing. And then when I'm all done, I hit the red power off button. And that's all there is to it. It does say don't put it on sloped ground, so I'll have to try to find as unsloped ground as I can. But mixer is now done. One less thing. I did get a new shovel while I was at Menards, because my old shovel, I was using it to mix cement, and it's really heavy because I didn't wash it off good enough, so I got a new shovel. But I think it's after 1 o'clock already. I think I'm just going to put these tubes away and call it a night, and then hope that it doesn't rain in the morning tomorrow and I can start on pouring some cement. So, but mixer is done. We're making progress. It's slow. This is only 3 of 9 piers that I need to make, so hopefully the next ones go faster than the first 3. Right, Duke? Duke? Alright, I decided to make some cement. I could put 2 60-pound bags in here with 1 gallon of water. So I'm going to mix this up dump it into the wheelbarrow and bring that over to the hole, because this is the most level spot I could find for land. Over here I started a fire in my burn barrel because I've got I already had a whole bunch of stuff to burn, so might as well do that while I'm waiting on the cement to mix. But I want to use at least the top bags from my truck, because when I went to Menards tonight, I wasn't expecting rain and I didn't have a tarp. So these top bags got a little sprinkle on them, so I want to use them before they get hard and set. But I don't know how much 2 bags is going to fill, but I'm going to go ahead and dump this out and test it and see if that fills up. I need each hole to have a 2-foot square about 1 foot deep, so I think I might need more than just 2 bags, but I'm going to try this out, see how far it gets me, and then I might have to dump more in there, so I'll keep you updated. Alright, got some cement mixed up. This is in a wash cycle right now. Over here, all 3 of my holes, I got 4 bags put in with the J-bars. So tomorrow, if it doesn't rain too much, maybe I can get my sono tubes, the cement tubes for the actual piers, bolted down and measured and level. But for tonight, the wind's picking up, a storm's coming in, so I've put the sono tubes in the camper and all my tools are in there. So I'm going to close that on my way back. Rebar puller is waterproof, that's fine. All this stuff can stay out here. Over here, I did spray down the wheelbarrow and my shovel for cement, and also I sprayed the cement mixer in there. It's still running to clean. And I used 4 bags per hole, so 12 bags of cement. I had 40 in my truck, so the other ones I covered up with a tarp so that they do not get wet and start to set. So tools are picked up. Last thing I'm waiting on is this cleaning cycle. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I am pooped. I'm going to start uploading my videos, and then tomorrow I'm going to sleep in and edit. But I was really hoping to get all 3 piers done today, but at least I got some cement poured and made some progress today. And I know for the other 6 holes what to expect. It's not as easy as I was thinking. But that is a wrap for today, for sure. We'll talk to you later.